I'm going to talk about gluconeogenesis. This is a term that has been thrown around, especially in the carnivore community, pretty much since keto started turning into carnivore for a lot of people. It was just kind of like the next step, you know, it's paleo, then keto, then carnivore. And I think this was my biggest holdup in terms of accepting carnivore and being able to wrap my head around it. So the concept that eating protein will raise your blood sugar. Excess protein can turn into sugar through a process called gluconeogenesis. So gluconeogenesis occurs by the liver. It's when your liver converts stored glycogen to sugar. Some people debate about whether this process, gluconeogenesis, is supply driven or demand driven. So think about that. Supply driven would just simply mean anytime you eat excess protein, the liver turns it to sugar. That would be supply driven. Demand driven would be when your body needs glucose, your body can convert that glycogen to sugar. There is no black and white answer. It's both. It depends on the context, it depends on the person. I will use myself as an example. There was a time where I could not consume more than 30 grams of protein per day without my blood sugar spiking up to 130 or 140. It was ridiculous. I was extremely insulin resistant because I was so emaciated. I didn't have any muscle on my body. I was running on adrenaline, fight flight mode all the time. Now I can eat, I must be eating around 300 grams of protein at Fogo de Chao, and my blood sugar doesn't rise above 85. I test it whenever I come home from there. Even in the morning after, it's normal. So the difference is the context. The difference is that my central nervous system is now supported. I have gained 65 healthy pounds. I am more insulin sensitive. I'm not running on adrenaline. I'm not in fight or flight mode. I've healed my hormones. I don't have elevated cortisol levels. That's the difference. So it's not fair to make a blanket statement by saying excess protein turns to sugar. That's not fair. But it's also not fair to say that it never happens. Context is key. Take a look at your own self, and I would encourage you to ask some questions like, am I in fight-flight mode right now? Do my adrenals need more support? Am I sleeping at night? These are all things that are going to play into where your body is at in terms of, is it in a supported place? When your body senses that you are running from a bear or anything that would need glucose, like a very highly stressful event, that could definitely elicit gluconeogenesis. There's only one time where it should be occurring during the day, every day, and that's when we wake up. We are supposed to wake up because of cortisol. There should be a flux of cortisol, and that's when gluconeogenesis occurs, and this is why very often low-carb eaters will see a higher glucose number, and that is called the dawn phenomenon. So that's normal, and this is why you should feel awake and alert when you wake up. That's cortisol, but it should also come back down shortly after that, and you shouldn't be running in that fight-flight mode, gluconeogenesis, high cortisol throughout the day. That's not healthy. Another instance where you would need gluconeogenesis to occur, or where it should occur, is when you're running from a bear. You actually need some glucose because you're going to be running for your life. I'm pretty sure I can feel when my body, when my liver creates glucose during CrossFit workouts, when I'm sprinting or doing certain heavy lifts, I can actually feel it. It does not feel uncomfortable because I'm working out, but I can feel it when it happens. And I used to be able to feel it when it happened when I was not in a good, healthy place. So I just wanted to kind of bust this myth that there is no black and white. It's context. It can be supply driven. If you're already in fight-flight mode, it can be demand driven. So if you know that you are not fat adapted or you're very high stress right now, it would make sense to make sure that you're not overeating protein. But if you're really in a healthy place and you're maintaining and you're hitting the gym every day, you're insulin sensitive, you're sleeping at night, you're not high cortisol, then I think you can get away with eating some extra protein, and you actually might benefit from it if you're trying to build muscle. Protein has so many benefits. It's not just skeletal muscle, but it's amino acids, it supports your digestion, it's everything. It's so important. And protein is also half of the equation of supporting leptin, which is our satiety hormone. A lot of people get stuck on this high fat idea and they don't eat enough protein. They're eating 80 grams of protein per day. I don't think anyone, even a 12-year-old, should be eating at least 100 grams of protein per day. I used to be in the camp of low protein, high fat, but you can be moderate protein and high fat and get a sustainable approach, is what I'm trying to say. Undereating protein is not a sustainable approach, and that is where a lot of people go, and I personally am strongly against it because of the way that it really wrecked me, and I have had countless amounts of people come to me with issues because they were told to undereat protein. There are some people who do it very well, and I don't want to share names, but there are people in this carnivore space who are doing a very high fat approach with low protein, and they're doing pretty well. I would call them unicorns. I don't think it's safe to recommend that to the masses. So what I like to recommend is a very normal, moderate, healthy amount of protein, which is 1 gram of protein per pound of desired body weight. This is going to help you reach your goals, whether it's weight loss or healthy weight gain. And then a higher fat than protein approach, whether that be 2-to-1 fat to protein or 1-to-1 fat to protein, 1.2-to-1 fat to protein. That's going to depend on so many other variables. But this video is just about gluconeogenesis. I'm pretty sure all of us have wondered, am I overeating protein? I definitely was so afraid to eat protein for a long time, and I'm so happy to be free of that. There are many, many, many days where I'm eating more protein than fat, and my blood sugar is not spiking, and I test regularly. So I just need you guys to know that context is key. I want people to heal their bodies to a place where they can tolerate more protein without their blood sugar spiking. If you can't tolerate it, that means you have more healing to do. So it can be a tool to be lower protein, higher fat. That's a tool, but I don't think that it should be a long-term goal because we need protein. So that's it. That's the gist. Leave any comments below. This could probably open up a lot of good discussion. I'm sure a lot of us have played around with different fat to protein ratios and tested your blood sugars, so I'm hoping to hear more of that.